What's up? What's up? This is Jared Forte. It's another session of Notes from the Route. This is session number 22, Seeking Affirmation versus Seeking Truth. And this is a tough one. It's a tough one. Um, Quick admin notes. You can check the show out every Monday through Thursday right here on G+. Also, you can watch it live streaming on my YouTube channel. You can find links for that all over the place. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's a great way to make sure you don't miss an episode and that you get them right away, because I do have a blog and they do come on the blog, but there's a little bit of a delay between the time they broadcast live and the time they hit the blog. So if you want to stay up on it and be notified so you can catch it live or catch it soon after it comes out, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's a cool way to do it. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at thisjared. I would love to hear your feedback, however you choose to get it to me. If you got some comments or insights on the ideas that we talk about here. All right, so let's get into it. Seeking affirmation versus seeking truth. Now, I want to make a quick clarification about the term affirmation, because it has a couple different meanings. I want to make sure we're clear on exactly what we're talking about. One meaning of affirmation is just to make a statement or a declaration that a thing is real or it's true. And there's another connotation or another meaning of affirmation where it's talking about the way that you can use language, particularly your own self-talk or inner voice, to change the way you think and to improve your circumstances, what have you. That's a different topic. I'm not really speaking directly on that. But what we're talking about here in terms of affirmation is emotional support or encouragement. And that's important. It's important. It's a necessary part of being a human being to have the emotional support and the encouragement from people who matter to you, who have your interests at heart. It's important to have the encouragement and emotional support of those people, especially early. Whether it's early in life, when you're a child, it's important to have affirmation from your family so that you can develop into a fully formed human and have a good sense of your worth and your worth as a person. So it's important to, if you have a child and you see them doing something, notice it, acknowledge. Don't just tear down what you see bad. Also acknowledge what you see that's good. And it's also a part, not just for children or for young people, it's a part of the social structure. Humans need each other. We need each other in community. That's the only thing that we have is each other. We don't have our ability to cooperate and work together and to communicate is what sets us apart. We're not the strongest. We're not the fastest. But we survive because we're able to communicate with each other and collaborate with each other and work together in groups. And a big part of that is our ability to support each other. So it's an important thing, but there is a danger. There is a downside to it. It's when you're seeking affirmation or when you're seeking that support, a lot of times you tend to group together and click up. You become, you get like minds attract each other. You get with people who think like you think and who agree with you, who kind of roll with you and your ideas. And what happens is it eliminates diversity and it magnifies error. So if you're wrong and then you get with a bunch of other people who are also wrong, then the error gets magnified exponentially with the size of the group. Just because a lot of people agree about a thing doesn't mean that thing is right. You can look throughout history and see times when there have been massive errors in judgment, massive errors in understanding that were popular opinion. People thought these things, people believed in these things, but they weren't true. So a lot of times when you are seeking affirmation, you find yourself in groups of people who think like you. There isn't diversity of opinion. And when there isn't diversity, then diversity of opinion and diversity of ideas is where innovation comes from, is where growth comes from. You need to have, in order for a group or a group of people to be strong, there can't just be one opinion or one idea. There's going to be blind spots otherwise. So it's important not to, in your search for affirmation and support, that you don't exclude and cut off people or cut off situations that are in conflict with what you think happens to be right. Sometimes affirmation leads to delusion. So we get a false understanding or a false picture of where we are in our process, in our growth, in our business, with our art, because we can seek out people or situations who will tell us that we're okay or who will encourage us. It blinds us to our shortcomings. So I think that consensus is overrated. I think that if you're in a group of people and everybody agrees, then you probably need to get a different group of people, a broader group of people. You need to have new blood, if you're a leader, you need new blood, new perspectives, new understanding. You won't buy in to your ideas, you won't buy into your vision, but you don't want blind followers who aren't thinking, who aren't looking at things from a different perspective, who can't add to the conversation in a productive way, who can't push back on your ideas, because then you may as well be alone if you're going to be of one mind at all times. It's important to have that, even if your opinion doesn't change as you come in contact with people with diverging ideas. It's important to understand and to hear. And many times the strife comes not from misunderstanding, but from failure to hear at all. So I think that one of the challenges that we have when we are seeking this affirmation, when we are seeking people who agree, one of the reasons we do this, one of the reasons I do this, and you can rest assured that there's any subject that we talk about here, is because I've struggled with it myself. I'm not beyond it. I'm in the middle of it most of the time, and part of the reason why I talk about it is because I struggle with some of these ideas. So one of the reasons why we seek affirmation is because the truth hurts. The truth hurts. The truth about our current level. Like if you are in a business for yourself, if you're a creative person, if you're learning a skill and you're starting to practice, whatever it is that you're doing, sometimes the reality of where you are is a painful reality. You're not good yet. And it's okay that you're not good, but it doesn't feel good to know that. And sometimes rather than seeking out the people who are going to really tell you straight up, we hide from that truth about our level. We hide from the truth about our quality. Sometimes it's not that we're not good, it's just that our work isn't good. That the quality, what the market requires, is another level of quality. We aren't there yet. Perhaps our ideas are great, but the quality of the work that we produce with those ideas are not. And that's a harsh reality. We hide from the truth about the magnitude of the task. Sometimes we have a misapprehension about what it really takes to make it in whatever it is that we're doing. So rather than believing that it could possibly be that much work, we can hide from the fact that this is going to take a long time of hard, consistent effort. We hide from that by looking for a shortcut or finding a hack of some sort to sidestep the hard. I'm not even going to call it hard. I'm going to call it the consistent, sustained effort that it requires to do any task that's worth doing. Um, Sometimes I think that we know the truth, yet we continue to seek it because we're hoping that it's going to change. But that's just like, putting, you got some spoiled milk, it's spoiled, you put it back in the fridge, and you open the fridge again, you still got spoiled milk. Um, and the interesting thing is, even though I say, we seek truth, or we seek affirmation or agreement or support before we seek truth, the reality is nothing affirms like the truth. The problem is when I say that nothing supports you more than the truth. The problem is the ego is, it's that wailing infant that's inside of you that's crying for attention. It wants you to feel okay before you are okay. It wants you to feel good before you are good. It doesn't want to acknowledge how garbage you are at the moment, because that doesn't sit well with the ego. The ego attaches your identity to and your self-worth to the work that you do. And that seems like, okay, well, this is what I do, this is who I am. But when you make that one statement, what you do is you raise the stakes on the work and you make it hard to hear the truth about it. Because if you are your work and your work is rejected and your work is questioned, then that brings your own identity and your own worth as a human being into the equation when it doesn't need to be there. There's no reason for the emotional stakes to be so high. Yes, you have an emotional investment in the work. Yes, you care about it. But the quality of your work doesn't define your worth as a human being. And if someone rejects your work, they're not rejecting you. If they criticize your work, they're not criticizing you as a human being. You don't have to have fear that you're going to be ostracized and put away. And that's the real fear. When the real fear of rejection is because we do need each other. We do need other people. And it's a human trait to seek the approval of people who care about us. If we feel like there is a way, if there's a thing that we can do or a way that we can act that will exclude us from people who we care about, then we are not inclined to do that. So when we equate our work with our worth, then we're putting ourselves in a situation where we are afraid that because my work isn't good, then I'm not good and I can't, and then you won't love me anymore as a person. Not that you won't love my work, but because this isn't good, maybe you won't love me. And that's what the ego does. The ego jumps and ties all that stuff together. But what a pro has to do, what an artist has to do if he wants to grow, if he wants to actually hear the truth, you have to pardon me, I'm sweating like as if I'm diffusing a bomb. It's an exceedingly humid day today, so excuse me. At some point, I'm always going to be passionate about the ideas, but at some point I hope I can deliver them with a little more grace than sweating here. But if you're a pro, then you have to be willing to do the work and let it go, so that you can hear the truth. See, people are afraid to hear the truth. When people are afraid to hear the truth, they're often afraid to speak the truth. Not because they're trying to deceive you or not because they are being malicious in any way. It's in their mind they're being compassionate because they know how much the truth hurts them, so they don't want to hurt you or your feelings with the truth about, so they just don't say anything because that's how they were raised. Don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So it's hard to find the truth. So the most coveted trait of a leader is the ability to speak the truth to someone and affirm them with it. Not in a way that tears them down and destroys them and makes them feel unloved. If you can speak the truth to someone in a way that separates the thing that you are trying to edify the thing that you're trying to critique or the thing that you're trying to improve with them, if you can speak the truth in a way that separates them as a person and their value as a person from the thing that you're talking about, then that's effective leadership. That's like what leaders have to do. And if you're an artist, if you are a business owner, whatever it is you're doing, leadership is a part of your job. Especially if you're an artist, there has to be an element of truth in the work that you're doing. And I know it seems like a sort of a ambiguous or kind of abstract idea when you're talking about truth in art. It seems kind of, but you know it when you feel it. You know it when you hear it. You experience truth. Truth isn't just something that's told and heard. It's something that's felt. And that's how you know the truth. When you hear it, it rings. They say it rings with truth, or there's a physical thing that happens when you're exposed to truth, whether it's spoken or written, or whether it appears in art that moves you in a certain way, or any type of message, anything that can come into your senses can have the truth inside of it. In order for you to include that in your work, then you have to be brave enough to touch people in that way. So you know it, you feel it, and you also can tell when you're around the truth, and you also know when you are in conspiracy with someone else to lie to each other. We have relationships with people where we get together for the sole purpose of, pumping each up, gassing each other up. We have relationships of mutual support that are really destructive conspiracies that keep us from growing because our egos are trying to protect themselves from that pain of I'm not good enough, when really the truth is you're not good enough yet. Your work isn't good enough. You're fine. And as long as you stay on the process, you will be fine. So that's it. That's the talk for today. If you enjoyed or disagree with or have an issue with or however you feel some type of way about the ideas we talked about today, that's cool. I want you to kind of think about it. I'm thinking about it. I know the areas in my life where I have to clean that up. It's a constant thing to always be brave enough to step back from the things that you're attached to, the work that you're doing, and not to take personal and not to identify so closely with what you're doing, because not only does it keep you from growing and getting better because you can't hear the truth about the truth that you need to hear in order to get better, it also can keep you from even moving. It can freeze you in your tracks when you feel like your emotional survival is at stake every time you get ready to do some work. So it's a really important thing to master, that ability to hear and speak the truth and to get the diversity of ideas that will make you a stronger person, a better leader, a better artist, all those things. So that's the notes for today. NFTR session 22 is in the books. Check me out tomorrow. We're going to talk about goals, the role of clarity in goals. Look forward to that. You can go to Backstage, jaredforte.com/backstage, and get on the notification list there, because that way you'll know what's coming up ahead of time. You can get recaps of what you missed, because I know you want to plan your whole life around catching my content. I don't want you to miss it. So until next time, have a great one.